Just to reintroduce myself, I'm Jonathan David Martin, and as Roger said, I'm a lecturer in the Immersive Media Design department. And I love that I heard Quint saying, I'm coming from this art background and I'm implementing these things in this cross-section of technology and performance, and I could really use some help from the technology side. And I'm really excited about that because that's kind of the intersection that I'm exploring in the class I'm teaching for IMD and also in my own work as an artist. And so just really quickly, my background is as a director and performer. And what I want to touch on today, again, is really this need and opportunity to bring together creative artists and technology around emerging spatial technologies like virtual and augmented reality, as well as mixed reality, as you can see here, often known as VR, MR, AR. And spatial technologies, we've talked about them a lot today, but they're really just at the early stages of adoption. But they're already transforming every aspect of our lives, from business to communication, to social interactions, and of course, education. And it's also, I think, useful to note that the market for AR and VR is growing incredibly fast. By one estimate, it's set to exceed $70 billion just by 2024. And so that's one way that we can gauge that there's a lot of potential and a lot of need to help society understand these technologies and show us how they can be used to the greatest good. And looking back at history, we can see that new technology only really catches on when someone comes along and creates a narrative with it that captures the public's imagination. So we can think of what Walt Disney did with animation technology and motion pictures, or what Steve Jobs did with Apple in terms of transforming our idea about what the personal computer was and what it could do. And they gave these technologies stories and narratives that made us understand why they were compelling and not just what they could technically do. At the moment, Pokemon Go is probably the experience that introduced most people to the concept of spatial technologies. It has appealing and familiar characters. It makes novel use of what augmented reality has to offer. It's great, but it just scratches the surface of what these mediums are capable of, and why I think it's so important that we invest in bringing together storytellers, designers, producers, and computer engineers, which is, of course, what everybody's been really talking about today. And I thought it might be helpful for context to kind of give a little bit of a background of my own journey working at this cross-section of performing arts and spatial technologies. So I did my undergraduate work in theater at the University of Washington, and I bring it up because in many ways that program is very similar to the University of Maryland. Both are known for their strong Bachelor's of Arts theater programs that I went through, and they both have incredibly strong computer science and engineering programs. In fact, for example, my freshman roommate went on to become a pioneer in cloud computing. Some people connect to their old college friends via social media. I just go to Wikipedia. And I went from there to get my graduate degree from NYU's graduate acting program. I performed for a couple of years on Broadway as a puppeteer in Warhorse, and I've directed and acted in regional theaters around the country and especially here in the Washington, DC area. But while I was doing all of that, I also started two nonprofit arts organizations. First, Washington Ensemble Theater in Seattle, and now I run Smoke and Mirrors Collaborative, which is a production studio based in New York and Los Angeles. And both of them are really founded around creating works of performance that are focused on collaborative creative methods and uplifting local stories and underrepresented communities. And because the work that I create as an artist with these companies tackles contemporary social issues, it kind of only made sense to involve technologists in some of our work. So I want to give an example of that. So one example of a collaboration between technologists and creative artists was a piece that I produced for Smoke and Mirrors Collaborative called #Project. And so what you're seeing here is just a little video of a demo that we made a couple of years ago at the Transmediale Festival in Berlin. And what #Project is it translates online social interactions into an immersive and surprising live performance event where the audience is making the decisions about what happens next. The show takes the audience on a collective journey through the process of self-identification and engagement that motivates people to join online social and extremist movements. And so, as you can kind of see here, we're reimagining the theater itself as an online social platform. And with this demo that we created, we were really trying to test the technology and the interface for users. I just want to create a standard play about these issues. Rather, we wanted to build an experience that recreated some of the interactive elements of social media, but did it as a collective group experience live in space together. So the audience is able to interact directly with the show's environment through the use of motion tracking sensors that follow their movements and then translate that into digital representations. And over the past few years, I've also been working with Double I Studios, which is a VR and AR production company based in New York City that's really been pushing the boundaries of live performance in VR. And so I first starred in their 2019 production of Love Seat at the Venice International Film Festival VR. And we returned this last year to the Venice Film Festival with their production of Finding Pandora X. I'll play a little bit of the trailer here so you can get a taste of it. And it won the Best Interactive Experience Award at the festival. And in fact, we're going to be performing again at South by Southwest next month. And I think it's important to point out as we kind of see this kind of like fun animation that what you're seeing here was all recorded live inside of VR. We did this actually in a VR social media platform called VR Chat. And all the characters here are being inhabited either by performers like myself or by the audience themselves. And oh yeah, there's me, that really tall blue god-looking guy running around. It's a lot of fun. But one of the things that I've noticed in the last couple of years as I've been working more and more with interactive technology, and it's become more popular and available, is that I keep seeing performing artists or other people from arts fields who want to incorporate technology into their work, but they don't know where to start, and developers and digital designers who want to create more engaging experiences, but also don't know where to start. And so this leads me to the class that we started here for IMD this semester called Augmented Reality for Creatives and Coders. And this is a course that I developed in collaboration with Daniel Brown, who's a graduate student in computer science here at UMD, and who's been really part of the core team developing IMD. And he has a background as an artist for AAA video games, as well as mixed reality headsets. And Daniel and I started by wanting to create a studio class that would explore the largely untapped potential of augmented reality to create engaging experiences and works of art. And so the course is bringing together students from across the university who have an interest in working at the cutting edge of storytelling, of design, as well as engineering to create these experiential works of augmented reality. And at the end of the semester, not only will the students have a broad understanding of the technology, but they'll also draw on the principles of the performing and visual arts to create compelling, engaging, and necessary projects using it. Part of this is we're also bringing in a number of professionals to speak and work with the students from both the arts and the tech sector. So we've had Daniel Plemons, who's an experiential designer from Adobe, come in to speak. We'll also have Ashley Crowder, the founder and CEO of the 3D data systems company Ventana, come in to speak to our students. And we really feel that connecting students with working professionals has a lot of benefits in many mediums, but especially one as new as augmented and extended reality. And what you're seeing here is this kind of breakdown of their midterm project, which we're calling their client project. And for the midterm, the clients are working in small design teams with an outside client. So the clients that we've brought in are 4 leading director producers at the cutting edge of digital storytelling. And so over the course of a few weeks, each student-led design team is going to work with one of these clients to develop a project proposal based on the client's needs. The clients are actually taking real-world projects that they're working on out in the professional field, bringing it to our students and working with them as a design team. So the students are going to create design documentation as well as proof of concept to give to these clients that the clients will be able to take out into the world and continue with their work. And if the students are interested in developing the project further, they'll have the option to develop it into a full portfolio project for their final. But perhaps most important of all with this class is that the course is teaching real-world collaboration and communication skills that will help the students prepare to work in teams with diverse backgrounds and skill sets. The combination of a broad understanding of emerging technology, the ability to think narratively about that technology, to think about how users will engage with it, and the ability to work effectively as teams will set them up for real-world success, no matter whether they go into the tech sector or the arts, or really any field that relies on the effective communication of information using technology. And looking ahead, I'm really excited about the many potentials that there are to introduce students to the storytelling potentials of VR and AR. I'm just going to play a little clip to kind of illustrate what I'm talking about. And this is a little bit of a piece called Fatherland VR by a UK company called Limbic. And as you can see here, the performer is in a motion capture suit. It's performing live on stage. There's an audience that's watching this live. And then he also has audience members come up on stage, put on a VR headset, and engages with the performance in the VR space as the performer who's live on stage is playing all of these different digital characters. And so this kind of leads into one area of research I'm doing right now with II Studios, where we're really exploring how performers can translate their skills to VR and learn how to create their own work in this emerging field that can reach people whether they have a VR headset or not, whether they're doing it remotely, or whether they're doing it live inside a theater space. And I'm also interested in exploring how documentary and community-based artists like myself can use VR and AR experiences to tell real-world stories. And again, just to illustrate this, I want to play a really beautiful piece that came out this last year in VR called Book of Distance by the Canadian artist Randall Okita. And this is a story that's developed from his family's experience of being interned during World War II in Canada. And he brings a lot of real artifacts from his family history into this piece that the participant who's in the VR headset can engage with. And I think experiences like this point to how making things in VR can create embodied, immersive, interactive experiences that also address longstanding issues like systemic inequality and accessibility. All things that I strongly believe can have a real lasting impact on audiences and society at large. And I think it's also important to note that this past year has shown the promise as well as limitations of digitally mediated experiences. They're not in any way a substitute for in-person performances, but they offer the possibility to make people feel, think, and take action in ways that have never been possible before. And finally, for me, at a time when we're increasingly siloed in our own information bubbles, creating engaging stories and experiences that remind us of our shared humanity is incredibly urgent. And I'm really excited to see what our students are going to create this semester and what we can learn in future courses involving experiential, virtual, and augmented reality. So thanks so much again for having me speak. Roger, thanks so much for the opportunity.
Well, I was absolutely delighted to hear your talk, Jonathan, and to hear your work with students. And it's exactly what we hope the Immersive Media program is about. It's about real world problems, connection with the newest technology and the newest creativity, and trying to do extended projects. So thank you very much.